Hey, Steve Soretsky here. As always, going to put some graphs, charts, data that go with this video. Basically, just want to put together a short video and get your perspectives on the market. I want to ask actually you what you're seeing in the market. So if you want to just put it in the comments below, you know, how you're seeing the market, how you're interpreting it. You know, everybody has different stories. They're like, hey, I was at this open house. It was dead, so that means the rest of the market must be dead. Or, you know, I have people telling me that a bunch of houses in their neighborhood just sold, you know, in a couple weeks, or sold stickers in the sign, so the market must be heating up. So you hear all these like very different anecdotal stories. I want to hear your thoughts on the market. And then again, if you have any questions, obviously I like to generalize it and just put it in as Vancouver. So I like to talk about the Vancouver market because I think that whatever happens in Vancouver is going to happen to some extent in other areas, whether it's Richmond, Burnaby, Surrey, Fraser Valley. You can even include Victoria in that. I mean, the province is essentially all connected. These real estate markets, right? So it's like if you have a correction in Vancouver, like obviously it's going to reach its way out to Chilliwack. And we've even seen that on the way up, right? As Vancouver prices increased, there was a lag effect. Now, obviously, I think Chilliwack detached home prices year-over-year up something like 30 or 40%. So yeah, and then just basically want to talk on quickly, basically on some of the things that I've looked at this week that I found interesting. The BC Real Estate Association released their latest numbers. Basically, looking at it, it was interesting to read the report. Is the total dollar volume. This is something to me that really stood out. The total dollar volume fell. So if you look at the first 7 months of this year, from January to July of 2017, the total dollar volume, which is basically the amount that BC homebuyers have spent on real estate, dropped 19% year over year. So you had people essentially spent $10 billion less on real estate in the first 7 months of this year versus the first 7 months of 2016. So I think that's substantial. It tells us like a few things that, you know, potentially that could mean. Is this market starting to cool off and turn down? I think that's certainly being seen in the detached market. You could argue that maybe the sales composition, we've seen a huge jump into the condo market and people moving away from the detached market. So you have a lot of people that are downsizing, trying to sell. We're seeing a lot of those homes, you know, start to sit and linger on the market, and everyone's pushing into the condo market. So you have downsizers going in there. You have a lot of first-time buyers, and you have a lot of investors, people that have built up a lot of equity, whether it's in their condo or in their detached house, that again are drawing money out of it, funneling that as a down payment for a second property. So you're seeing a lot of that. Yeah, so I mean that's interesting from my perspective. And then again, there was another quick touch on the Vancouver foreign buyers tax. I know that there's been a lot of debate, particularly over the last couple of weeks, about how much impact the foreign buyers tax has had or has not had. And I think a lot of people are arguing that it has had zero impact. I would argue that. I'm going to put out a blog post probably later today, maybe Saturday, which covers some of the data that I've been following in that market. But what people have to understand is they're looking at it because they're going, okay, well, detached prices haven't really come down, so it's an ineffective, and condo prices have gone up, so this is an ineffective policy. Now, I think it's up for debate, but I would look at it, okay, so here we have to look at this real estate boom essentially happened beginning in 2014 and really just exploded in 2015. So if you actually look at Vancouver detached prices in the last 3 years, you go from 2014 to 2015, and then from 2015 to 2016, prices were increasing. For those 2 years, they were increasing by 40%, 40 each year. 40%, 40%. And then if you look from January 2016 to January 2017, you actually had quite a significant drop-off in the average sales price. I believe it was almost 20%. And then in the spring, you had an uptick again, and now you've leveled off and you're starting to come down again. So if you now look at it from July 2017 versus July of 2016, what are the detached prices doing? The average sales price is down 5%. down 5% year over year. So in a best case scenario, all you can say is that there's been zero price growth in the detached market year over year. Now you can argue that some segments are doing better than others. You know, the cheaper, lower end detached and on the Vancouver east side is obviously doing better than a $3 or $4 million house on the west side. But from the grand scheme of things, you lump it all together. Look at the Vancouver detached market. There's essentially been zero growth on a year-over-year scale. So you went from going from 40% to 0% growth year-over-year. And so people want to say, well, the foreign buyers tax didn't work. But we don't understand is that real estate prices are sticky. Why people don't just drop their prices instantly. When real estate prices do come down, or if they come down, whatever you want to say, they don't come down overnight. It's never happened. 40%, 0%. You can argue condos, obviously they're still increasing, month over month, 15, 20% in Vancouver. But you got to look at that. What's been the shift? I think I would argue that as part of it is a psychological shift. Where you had a BC government introduce a first-time buyer loan scheme, encouraging more and more buyers to get into the market. That, first of all, plays on that. People that otherwise wouldn't get in the market pulls some of that demand forward. And then you also have, these incentives. You have basically a psychological change, right? So, I mean, just to give you an example, I had some sellers that were thinking about selling their place, a townhouse, and they looked at it and said, "Oh, we think with this new program that prices are going to go up in this segment that we're thinking of selling. This is our price, and we think that's." And so they actually held off from selling. So I think that sort of changes the mentality as well, right? So, anyways, that's sort of up for debate. You can argue back and forth on foreign buyers tax. I would say that you have to look at where would prices be if it wasn't implemented. How much of that foreign buyers tax cool down the detached market? How much is that from the foreign buyers tax? How much is it from China's capital controls? We might never have an answer, but I like all these people coming out and saying it didn't work. I think that's very debatable. And again, I'm going to link a chart in the description below. But anyways, if you have any questions, I actually want to hear your comments on the market, and I want to see if you guys have any questions so I can answer those in the comments below. If you're not already, subscribe. I appreciate that, and talk soon.